But I know we got to get into our soccer conversation. I will say this before we quickly move on to that. I think it's the thing that's cool about the U.S. Open Cup. And we talked about on this show multiple times before about how soccer is oversaturated in the US. You know, like there's too many teams and too many cities and too many places. And okay, yeah, you can claim that there's so much and we don't know who's who and that it's all scattered and it's the Wild West. We can claim that, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that we continue to add more teams. And I think it's just because it reemphasizes that soccer is for everyone. And even if you're like a UPSL where you're giving a guy who maybe is an electrician during the day an opportunity to come out and compete, I love it. And compete in a tournament that has national eyeballs on it. Yeah, I love it. And so I think it just what that moment did yesterday is it reinforced that soccer is for everyone. I mean, even if you're a working class professional, which I know he's not a professional quite yet, but a med student scoring a goal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like med school itself takes up all your time. How the hell are you able to manage playing and doing that at the same exact time and score a goal? So that's really impressive. And again, I just think it goes back to reinforce that this game is truly for everybody. And it's just fun to see those stories, especially in a cup like that. Now we know obviously once it gets to the end, you know, MLS teams dominate, but it's still a really cool story. So
Do,
that's why we love the sport as much as we do.
do we truly think soccer in the U.S. is oversaturated? Do we truly think that?
I think we only say it's oversaturated because we don't know, because there's so many different leagues and so many different structures and so many different I think that's what makes it seem overwhelming or like there's too many teams. But the sheer number of teams, no, I mean you need them in order to compensate for how many kids are playing the sport. I mean, how many, you know, we talked about that, isn't it? Like the in terms of participation, isn't it the most, the
I,
highest?
I'm just
No, I know it's
I think so, but I'm just asking this question
yeah.
because I just did a quick Google search. I asked how many pro soccer teams are in England, and England has over 7,000 soccer teams across professional, semi-professional, and grassroots levels. There's 92 professional in their top four pyramid. And I just searched up with the United States, and we got 30 Premier League, or not 30 Premier League, 30 MLS teams, and then we have, I think, 27 USL Championship, then we have USL League One, MLS Next Pro, NISA is in there, and then the women's side, NWSL, USL Super League, USLW, and NPSL. So I don't think soccer, if we're going based on solely teams, I don't think it's saturated. I do think, however, there are too many different leagues and we don't have a proper structure. I think you're right that
Yeah.
it feels
Yeah.
oversaturated because there's so many 3-4 letter different leagues around this country, and we don't have
Yeah.
like obviously I'm sure the goal if you're an American soccer player would be to get to the MLS or the USL Championship, but if you were to
Right.
get to that level, well, there's no promotion relegation. You'd have to, it's a little bit harder to get to the top level and be seen by all these ones because there's
Right.
not necessarily promotion relegation, but in terms
Mhm.
of teams, I don't think it's oversaturated. I just think the amount of different leagues because
Yeah.
think about it, England is a much smaller country than the United States.
Oh,
And
yeah, far smaller.
to the other point of you saying there's too many there's too many cities, too many teams. Well, I don't really buy that because you go to England, you go to Spain, you go to Germany, you go to France, they got as many teams, if not more, and they're much smaller countries. I just think the difference is there's no structure here in the United States, and
Yeah.
that's why I feel like it's oversaturated.
100%. No, you're exactly correct. I mean, it's funny because like you know, even me as a play-by-play talent, you know, you'll get the notice like, hey, you got a game time or whatever, and you're like, well, what league? It's like, well, it's the XFL's SYZWMLS that you're doing tonight. And it's like, what? Like, I've never heard of this league before in my life, you know, but it's like, you look at it and it's like some 27-year-old who like did really well playing Division 1, but like never got the opportunity beyond that point. So like we have a lot of players, but we have just 800 leagues to choose from. And so they're all just kind of scattered to wherever on the map. And so it's not easy to understand. So I think that makes it look oversaturated. But in terms of the sheer, the land size and the amount of people we have, no, I wouldn't say in comparison, like a per capita type thing, it's even close.
So if you told me but last year, around this time last year, before I even stepped foot inside the National Soccer Network Premier Media Group studios, whatever you want to call it, I only knew of 2 leagues: the USL Championship, because DCFC played in it, and I've gone to games, and
Yep.
the MLS. Knew nothing about MLS Next Pro. Knew nothing about NISA, USL 2, USL League 1. Like, I'm sure I probably knew about USL League 1, but I just didn't bother with it, I guess. Or UPSL, NPSL. Like, I didn't know any of these leagues. And then I became here, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then my mom will be like, so what game you calling tonight? I'm like, Mom, if I explain it to you, get more confused. Because eventually I started explaining all these different leagues, and she's like, I'm lost. Like, I didn't know anything about the Major League Indoor Soccer or MASL. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yep.
little difficult.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different leagues, there's so many different things, and so that's why I think it gets definitely confusing for the consumer at certain points. You want to launch into the U.S. men's national team conversation, or you want to talk about Bayern here really quick before we get to that?
Let's go to break. It's already
Okay.
9:16. Let's go to break, and then we'll get into the men's national team conversation.